It's really bright. You need your shades in here, I think. Whoa, I'm so sorry. Our company color is sky blue. Oh boy. Alright, so good morning. Big studios that have been around for a while with huge blockbuster titles that make all the money every Christmas. And then you have the smaller studios like ours who are doing our best and making these games, and sometimes, it's hard to compete against the big guns. And especially for mobile games, if your game doesn't get featured on the App Store or it doesn't get any attention in the first few days of launch, it could be very hard to make your money back. And that's just the reality of the industry that we're in. Magic wand. Got it. So in the movie analogy, game designers are kind of like the directors. It doesn't mean that they're the most important person. On the contrary, it actually takes an entire village to make a game or to make a movie. But in terms of one person in charge of the creative vision, and also the person that you blame if the movie succeeds, and also the person that you, whoa, did it move by itself? Okay. And the director or the game designer is also the person you blame if the product fails. And that's just how it is. It's the person that makes the major decisions as to how the game is going to go. Magic wand. Boom. Got it. And as a game designer, and I've been a game designer for a while, our job is really to know what's best for our game. And that's why we're hired. The team will ask you, which feature do we do next? What do we do with this UI? What do we do about this bug? Like everything. They consult you for everything, and you're the person who knows that by making this decision over that decision, I'm gonna lead our game to financial success. That's what we do, right? How many game designers are in this room? Okay, don't get mad. I'm about to share a secret. The truth is, we don't really know what we're doing. Like, we really don't, and don't feel bad because it's not just game designers, really it's everybody in the industry. We don't know what we're doing. But, we're doing our best, right? And if we knew what we were doing, number one, we would all be rich. Number two, we wouldn't be here in this room, in this conference, trying to learn from each other, like, so how's your product doing? That's why we're here. We're trying to learn from each other, but nobody really knows better than anyone else, okay? So we just get that straight. Because it's not our fault. There is no guaranteed way to succeed. It's the same thing for Hollywood. You can have the biggest budget, the best IP, all the marketing in the world, and it could still be a really crappy movie or a really crappy game, right? You just can't predict that that's how it is. So instead of game designers being directors, I like to think that we're more like sea captains. So imagine you're in the middle of the ocean, right? And there's no land in sight, zero, just completely in the middle. And then your crew turns to you and says, "Captain, which way do we go?" And as captain, your job is to say, "Land is that way." You have no idea, you can't see it, right? That's what the game designer is doing every day, making this decision for the entire team. And if the game industry is so unpredictable, if I can't guarantee my game's success, how am I supposed to go to my work tomorrow? My boss is in the other room, so he can't hear me. But how are we supposed to make decisions if our industry is so volatile, if we just can't guarantee success? So a lot of game designers go with their gut. What does that even mean, right? So gut is when, for example, this happens at work a lot. Like someone will suggest an idea. Like, what if we do this for our next feature? And within 10 seconds, I say, that's a bad idea. Like that, no, that's not gonna work. Like the player isn't gonna like that. I have zero basis, but something inside me tells me I'm absolutely right. That's my gut speaking. And gut doesn't really actually come from nowhere. It comes from experience, right? So the longer you've worked in the games industry, the better your gut is. You probably worked on a bunch of games, hopefully in the same genre. So you can say that didn't work before, so it's probably not gonna work now. But the problem with basing entirely on your gut is it's based on past experience. And experience is good and all, but it's past events. And again, since you guys are in the game industry, you know that everything changes every month. For our case, when Altitude started, it was our first mobile games company. And we wanted to make an endless runner, because at the time, Temple Run, Jetpack Joyride, all these great runner games. And if we make a runner, we're gonna be rich, right? So we made Run Run Super 5, which is the sticker down there. And of course, it takes you a while to make it. And by the time we released it, it turns out runners weren't that cool anymore. But that's the thing, is the industry changes so fast. So just relying on instinct or relying on past events won't be enough for you. You can have a better gut. Like, you can update your gut, so to speak. And you do that by attending conferences like this one, attending talks, talking to people, read all the things on the internet. Our previous speaker had great examples of that. You can also play all the games. And I mean all the games, not just the games you like, the games you don't like. The games that are number one and the games that tank. You have to play everything to know what's out there. And that will help you get a better design instinct for things. But it's still not enough. At the end, this is just an opinion that I have. It's a guess, right? My guess is this is the right direction to go for my game, but I have no proof that I'm correct. So you need data. How many people actually know who this guy is? Yay! Less than half, guys! Okay, so I'm not even going to try to explain. But you need data to give you a clear picture of what actually is happening out there. And if you are not tracking player data in your game, you have to do that right now. If you can learn one thing from me, you need some form of analytics in your game. You will know where your player is dying, where they're quitting, what they're buying, everything. And it's not as creepy as it sounds, like everybody does it. It's anonymous, so you know. For example, this one of our games, Zodiac Pop. Last week I asked them, what are people buying in Zodiac Pop? Because we were trying to figure out where to put more ad support. And so, you know, we just pulled up the data here. Here are the 5 things that they're spending on, and now I know. And without the data, I would just be guessing, you know, how I play Zodiac Pop, I spend on these things, so I guess most people do that. That might not be the case when you actually compare it to your players out there. And ideally, you have in-house data analysts that do it for you. We are very lucky to have a data team at Altitude, but even if you don't have an in-house data team, just work with your analytics provider, talk to them directly, and help you figure out stuff. So the first thing that you need to do is ask the right questions. So it's not enough to just have, you know, Google Analytics or Server, etc. You need to know what you're trying to find out. Okay. So for example, Dream Defense, which is where this bear is from, one of our other games. So I wanted to know, let's say, where do players stop playing at day 0, right? So when they first install, at the end of the day, where do they stop playing? And you think this is a pretty basic question, but actually for our data team to get that information, they have to combine a bunch of numbers, right? They have to figure out how many sessions are people playing per day, how many minutes they're playing per session, on average, how many levels do they finish per session, and combined with all of that, I can say they end the day at level 12. If I didn't ask them that information, I just have spreadsheets of data that I wouldn't be able to understand. Now that I have this information from the data team, it's not enough to say, oh, level 12, I'm just going to balance level 12 or whatever. You have to replay your game as the player, simulating that entire day. And I found this is the best way to use data. So on my end, I would play. All right, I'm going to pretend I played 3 sessions today. These levels in particular, I can sense player fatigue. It's not the level, it turns out, has nothing to do with it. It's, you know, the tutorial right before it. It's the reward that was shown and you didn't get, or whatever. Without imagining how the player does it, using the data that you have, then you're only looking at a number that might not be representative of the player experience. So now I have my gut, and then I have data, which may support what my guess was, right? But both of them are also not enough. Why not? Because that's still a guess, an opinion, better informed with numbers, but I haven't really proven this outside, you know, our studio. So the third thing that you need is you have to test. You have to test the theory that you have. Chemistry cat. No. Sorry. Cats. Okay, nobody cares. So here's the problem that I have with game designers, and I have some game designers in the audience. I warned them, I said not to come. Okay, so game designers in particular can argue for hours to prove that their idea is correct. And I mean hours, I mean days. It happens with everyone, sure, artists, coders, etc. But game designers are particularly stubborn about this. And the thing is, if you're just arguing on chat, because we're a virtual office, or in person if you have an office, everyone's correct, because everyone's idea is equal, because none of you have proven anything, right? It's a Mexican standoff, basically. In fact, my job as creative director is just to go into conversations and just kind of stop them from debating by saying, have you tested it? Have you tested it? No? Okay, test it. And then they shut up and then they test it. Because you really can't prove any idea without testing. So let me give you an example. This is one of the games we were working on for a while. And it's a 3 versus 3 RPG. So our our control scheme for the RPG was we had skill buttons at the bottom. You tap on the skill button, and then you tap the enemy to target. And then someone suggested, why don't we drag the icon to the target? Because there are games that do that. And so the debate started. There were people for or against. There were games as examples for or against. Both ideas are valid. So again, I come in, have you tested it? Have you tested it? Just test it. So they did a quick and dirty test, which was this one. And it turned out it was absolutely terrible. The reason it was terrible, which we didn't predict, was because the game was in portrait. So the games that they were looking at were in landscape, and if the game's in landscape, your skill buttons are at the bottom, the enemy's here, the shortest way from the skill button is this way, with your party over here. If it's in portrait, it's the opposite. Your skill button goes over the party's heads, it's the farthest distance, it actually feels awful on the phone, and we wouldn't have been able to guess this just debating, on paper. And so this is a great example of just test it. It took a few minutes, just enable it in the code. Okay, that's ugly, revert, then you're done. And so we've trained not just designers, but even game artists and coders. If they have an idea, they have to test it first. They have to prove it first. And there are different ways you can do that. So prototyping is a great way, and I've given tons of talks about that, so I'm not even going to get into it. But you should use any tool available that you have. So Unity or whatever your engine is, you can make throwaway prototypes, or you can use the current game that you have, just branch it off or whatever. You can use Balsamic, which is my favorite. It's a wireframing tool. You can use Flash. I've had someone use PowerPoint because he was most comfortable in it, like clickable PowerPoint buttons, so sure, go ahead. Pen and paper is fine, just test it out and don't just argue with words, it's not enough. Better if you play test, meaning test this too. And so you can do it with your team, you can do it with the entire company, so you have people outside the project testing your idea to see which one's better. Have your friends do it, have your mom do it. Moms are the best, we do this all the time. If they can figure out how to shoot a bubble in your bubble shooter, you're golden. You will be surprised. Use your mom. And I'm not kidding. And then some people, they pull people off the street, go to conferences like this, show your game around, have them test. Don't teach them what to do, just watch them do it. Just do that and don't be afraid to test your theories through other people. And lastly, and if you have the time and the budget for it, A/B tests are great. So A/B tests, basically, half of the audience is going to get this version, and half of the audience is going to get this version, and then you can compare with data to see which one won. So for example, these are the two icons that we used in one of our A/B tests for Zodiac Pop. So it's one of our bubble shooters. And Alien Balls won. We couldn't understand it, and then it turns out it wasn't the mascot that they didn't like. It had the lighter color, so they liked that better. And it had the Zodiac background, so it gave more information on what it was. But again, just basing it on my gut instinct, I was terribly wrong with this one. We were extremely surprised that Alien Balls won. And so there are a bunch of different services that you can do. You can do it in-house in Google, but TestNet, PickFu. We've done Facebook A/B tests where you have 2 different ads with different icons or whatever, and then you just kind of track clicks, etc. So many things you can do with A/B testing. So ideally, if you do all these 3, then you come up with better decisions for your team. So not just basing it on your instinct, but also having data how your player actually behaves, and then testing it out to see if your theory was correct. And before I go, I have 2 short tips on how to make this process easier. The first one is you have to listen to everybody. This is actually the hardest thing to do unless you've been in the industry for a long time. A lot of game designers rely so much on their own gut that they don't want to listen to anybody else with a suggestion. That's just how we are as people. But I have a picture here of Pixar's Brain Trust. So in Pixar, they have what we call a Brain Trust, which is a group of their best minds, directors, producers, etc. And so if you're making a film at Pixar, you have to walk into this room once every few months. You have to show them what you've done so far, and then they're going to give you honest, constructive feedback the feedback that you don't want to hear, right? The feedback that your friends won't tell you. That's the honest room. And so we decided at Altitude to have our own brain trust, which is, could be the executive team, could be, we have advisors, like the previous talk also mentioned, we have advisors from other companies who look at our games and, tell it like it is. And you have to listen to everybody, because if you only rely on yourself, you're getting a very one-sided view. However, and this is important, you still make the calls. So a big mistake is, you're gonna get all the feedback in the world. Then you're gonna believe that all of them are equal and do everything. And then your game turns out to be just a hodgepodge of stuff with no central vision to it. As a game designer, you still make the call. So use the feedback to look at problems. People are really, really good at identifying problems. I'm having difficulty with this, I'm stuck here, etc. Their solutions might not be great, right? So I believe Neil Gaiman said that first. So when people suggest solutions, they're probably wrong. But when they talk about the problems, they're probably right. So if you can see the problems that people are reporting, then you use your gut, you use data, and you test it for the solution. And I don't just mean brain trust as well. We watch all the YouTube playthroughs of our games, even though they're painful to watch. We can read all the reviews, have a feedback form in your game, just get all the feedback, but as a game designer, make the call. And lastly, you have to do this entire process fast. So I don't want you guys to do the whole, I have a gut theory, I'm going to collect data and I'm going to test it, and then it takes you 3 months. That's too late. The industry, it moves so fast. And so you have to be able to make these decisions quickly. And for example, remember the stuck in the middle of the ocean thing. There's nothing worse than sitting in the middle of the ocean for weeks, trying to figure out what to do. Game designers just point and say land is that way, as fast as you can. So if you made a mistake, you can turn around and go another way. You've eliminated one possible path, which is better than just sitting on your ass and, not deciding anything. And so prototype as fast as you can. If you have data, update your app quickly, look at the data, pull it back. Do A/B tests immediately, just do everything fast. And if you do it slowly, then by the time your perfect game comes out, it might be too late. So that's it. I hope that wasn't a bit too rushed. And so I would love to hear how you guys, whoa, bright blue. I would love to hear how you guys make decisions for your team. And if you have any questions, I'll be here and hanging outside. We have an Altitude booth in the next room. Thank you.